Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Michael on the show who's selling an affiliate and Amazon Associates business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Michael, how are you doing today?
Hi Lauren, I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Really looking forward to this interview. It sounds like you've got a great business on your hands. But before we dive in, I'm going to give the listeners a brief summary of the business so that they have a better idea of what we're talking about.
Sure, thank you.
This is an affiliate and Amazon Associates business. It was created in July 2011, and it's in the education and information niches. The average revenue for the business is $7,853 per month, and that makes an average of $7,450 per month in net profit. The assets included with the business are a primary domain, including all site content and files, a secondary domain, writer contacts, a Facebook account, and an email list with 1,355 subscribers. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 67284 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now we've got that out the way, let's hear from the seller. Michael, can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
Yeah, so about 7 years ago, I purchased a website from a friend of mine while I was working kind of a corporate day job, and it was a little side project, and it went pretty well, and I ended up thinking, okay, maybe I can make a business out of this. Maybe I can kind of switch to a online income rather than in person. So I ended up buying another couple small starter sites and growing them over a few years, and then came across these two websites in mid 2019 and early 2020. And yeah, I've just been growing them since. They've both been doing pretty well since. I've spent pretty much like a year solidly working on them. And then it's been very, very passive since then. Once a week or once every 2 weeks, I might log in and just update WordPress and things like that. But for the last more than a year, it's been very passive.
Yeah, it's great that you're able to find not only some sites that you have personal interest in, but the fact that you're able to optimize them and make them passive is fantastic. When it comes to monetizing the sites, what drew you to the affiliate monetization?
Just on a personal level, I actually don't really like ads on websites, and that's just my own personal preference. I've always thought okay, there must be a product that I can either create or an affiliate offer that I can use. And so these two sites in the language learning niche, there's plenty of offers out there. There's lots of different online courses. There's textbooks. There's all kinds of things to sell in the niche.
Yeah, there's definitely a good scope of products there, as you mentioned. With that in mind, are you affiliated with multiple affiliate networks?
Yeah. So for these two sites, they have kind of one main affiliate network that I use, but then there are other kind of secondary and tertiary affiliate networks. I think if I were really looking at doubling down on these sites, I would expand and take a look for different affiliate deals that are out there, because I think that's one thing that I'm missing on these sites is I just focused on, okay, I found these ones that worked and built up content around them. And then I've really ignored some of the other probably profitable affiliate programs out there. So.
Well, let's follow on from that train of thought. So with that in mind, what do you think are the growth opportunities that a buyer could really take advantage of with the site?
Yeah, I think the easiest one would be to just turn on display ads. Like I said, personally, I don't like ads, but they make money. And actually, a lot of people probably don't mind ads. So I think that would be the easiest one. Probably Ezoic, something like that. Like the traffic isn't huge. So unless you already have an account with Mediavine or AdThrive, I think probably I would go with Ezoic. So that would be an easy win to switch on the ads. And then second would be probably finding a few more key affiliate programs. Like I said, there are lots of programs in the language learning niche, but I just kind of, not that I lost interest in the sites, but my other projects started to take off. So for time constraints, I didn't follow up on them. The next thing would probably be updating existing content and adding new content. So especially if there were ads on the site, I would focus on creating new content. So there's a lot of kind of low hanging keywords in the niche. So increase traffic, increase ad earnings. And then probably the last thing would be I get a lot of sponsored post inquiries. So, hey, can we do a sponsored post on your blog for both websites? And I always just say, no, I'm not interested. So that's just my own personal preference. But I think that would be an easy win as well, to just say yes and kind of negotiate those up.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there that buyers can take advantage of, some quick wins, as you say. I think you hinted at this in your answer there, but why have you decided to sell the business now, given the success that you've achieved with it?
And I've enjoyed working on the sites. Like I said, I love learning languages, and that's why I chose these sites to purchase. But I started a new thing without saying too much. I started from scratch, which is unusual for me. Normally I buy something, but it's something I'm really passionate about. And I kind of want to really 100% focus my time on that new thing. It didn't make sense for me to kind of hold on to these forever. And, after a few years down the line, have, slowly lose rankings from Google. I didn't like that option. So I thought, okay, I'll sell them to somebody that's willing to put in a little bit of time and energy into the site.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's really difficult to sort of split your focus between so many projects. So it makes sense to sort of dedicate all of your time to this new project that you've started from scratch, as you say, which is an exciting new venture for you. Looking back over your journey with these sites that you're selling, would you say there's any big success stories that stand out in your mind, any moments that you really felt you'd achieved something with the site?
On a personal level, for one of the websites, I personally wrote a few articles just because I was interested in that particular language. And I really enjoyed seeing those articles get traction, like posted them on Reddit. I'm not really a big link building guy. Like I usually buy websites that already have a really good, strong link profile. But for the content that I wrote myself, it's something I was passionate about. So I, did a little bit of promotion, and see those kind of get traffic and traction and a good response. That was kind of a personal success for me. So
yeah, that must have been a good feeling, especially as you say, since you don't normally write content. I'm sure there were some things that didn't feel as good or didn't go as well as planned. So were there any setbacks or challenges that you had to overcome?
I think when you rely on a couple of key affiliate programs, you end up having, let's say, it becomes a little bit cyclical. Like you can have months that do really well and other months that don't do as well. Like actually February tends to be kind of on the lower side, and we're in February right now. But for example, last year, I think February, March was not so great. And I was kind of sitting there thinking like, oh, did I do something wrong in terms of in Google's eyes? But then, when you actually look at the numbers, it's just a cyclical kind of sales cycle, I guess.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. And it can be quite frustrating, as you say, because you haven't done anything wrong. It's just the way it works out. Let's dig into your traffic a little bit more. Where does the majority of your traffic come from?
I think it's about 90% organic. It's all Google traffic, pretty spread out keywords. The top page on one site is just 12% of traffic, and the top page on the other site is 7% of traffic. So, the good thing is that risk is spread out across different posts. I've made the mistake in the past of buying websites that have the traffic focused too much on one or two posts. And when you lose rankings there, you get in trouble. That's one thing I like about these sites, is that the traffic is spread out across different posts and different keywords.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think having well-diversified traffic definitely adds an extra layer of protection to the business. Have you invested much time into on-page SEO? You mentioned that you don't really invest much time into backlink building campaigns.
Right. So I haven't really done any backlink building for these two sites, but in terms of on-page SEO, that's more of my thing, like creating new content and then optimizing existing content for keywords. That said, SEO world moves quite quickly, and a lot of my friends are using Surfer SEO and all these other tools. And I guess my approach has been more feeling and intuition rather than, like I'll look at what Surfer says to do and I'll take some insights from that. But I'm definitely not going to shoot for a 70% or an 80% score. I'm just looking at it as a general guideline. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think given your experience, I think you mentioned you've worked on 15 sites so far. I think your intuition is guided by experience and knowledge. So yeah, you're not just thumb sucking there, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, I hope so.
So you've got an email list as well as a couple of social media accounts. Are either of those sources driving traffic to your site as well?
Not currently. Basically, use the email list once or twice a year, and it's usually when there's a big sale. Most often, it's Black Friday. So when Black Friday comes around, I'll kind of dust off the email list and send out 2 or 3 emails. And of course, you get lots of unopened emails and a few people unsubscribing, but for the most part, it works to get a few extra sales. I'm not actively collecting email address on either site. So that's definitely something that could be optimized for sure. I do have lead magnet that I've used in the past, and that could be something that the new owner could reapply to the site and, kind of crank up the emails. But it's more of a time and energy kind of thing for me. Just haven't had the time and energy to put into that.
Yeah, certainly. That makes a lot of sense. It does definitely take up a lot of time. So let's take a look at your content creation process. Can you walk me through how you decide on what topics to write about and what your keyword research process looks like?
Yeah, sure. Full disclosure, I haven't posted new content on either of these sites. It's got to be over a year, possibly closer to 2. I have to double check. But when I was creating regular content, what I would do is, I had a few affiliate programs that I was testing. And when I found one that kind of hit, I would look at different keywords around that keyword and spread those out over a few articles. And then I would try to balance that out with informational content. Even though I don't have display ads on, I don't want the site to look like a 100% affiliate site. I want to build up trust. And it's my impression that Google looks at websites and tries to decide whether you're an authority on that topic. So even though it's not directly selling something, I want to kind of build up the posts around that topic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think balancing out the content like that also provides a lot more value to your readers, which will keep them coming back for more, which is good. You mentioned that you don't often write articles yourself. So can you walk us through if you have a team in place or are you outsourcing that writing?
Yeah, like I said, at the moment, I'm not currently creating any content, but when I was, for a while, I was just doing a freelancer, maybe 1 or 2 articles a week. And then I found somebody in the same city I was living in and was learning all kinds of languages. And he was really interested in writing some reviews for different language courses and writing articles about different strategies to learn languages. So he ended up writing quite a bit of content for the site. And basically, I would give him, if it was a review article, there's kind of a general review outline that I would give him, and he would follow that. But he had kind of his own editorial freedom, and I would just come in and do a little editing afterwards. But that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it's great that you're able to find writers who actually use these products and actually learn these languages. I think that lends the articles a lot more credibility than just sort of some random freelance writer.
Right.
Given the fact that you're outsourcing the writing, as you say, you're on publishing writing at the moment, but you mentioned earlier that this is quite a passive business for you. So what does a typical work week look like for you when running this business? How many hours are you investing into it? And what sort of activities take up the majority of your time?
Yeah. So at the moment, it's really, once every 1 or 2 weeks, I'll log in, update all the plugins, check a couple of pages just to make sure that everything looks fine. Sometimes WordPress has its weird days. And that's really it. I mean, if it's Black Friday, then okay, I'm logging into MailChimp and copy pasting a couple of emails from last year, updating the Black Friday sale posts. But other than that, there's really not a lot. One more thing that I do somewhat regularly, probably once a year, is I'll update the review post. So the affiliate focused articles where you want to be getting, basically your money post, I'll make sure that those are updated with kind of the latest dates and maybe change a few words here and there just so that Google sees, oh, okay, these are being updated just to keep the ranking. So that's probably once a year. That might take a day or two. Yeah. And that's kind of the extent of it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, following on from that, this is quite a passive business. We've talked about the low hanging fruit that buyers can take advantage of. So, with all of that in mind, what do you think the biggest challenges will be for a buyer when taking over this business?
I think that there's a lot of different ways that you could go with it, and that might be the biggest challenge. Like, for example, you could take both of these sites and combine them together into one website and maybe strengthen the domain authority and really kind of double down on, I guess, you double your risk, but you might also double your income. That was one thing that I thought about doing, but I just, like I said, I kind of had a new project that came up and took all my time. That could be one way to go. You could keep the sites as two separate sites and really expand on the content, look at all the different affiliate programs that are out there and just kind of go nuts with new content creation. I think one of the big challenges would be like to decide where you want to go with it. As it is right now, if it were two portfolio websites, turn on the ads, maybe have a VA do the sponsored posts and have somebody update content once in a while. That could be a valid strategy. Or you could really go crazy and try to take over the niche and really make these big sites.
Yeah, I agree. That influx of choice that they have could be a bit overwhelming for a buyer. How much support are you willing to offer them to sort of help them make those decisions and ease them through that transition?
I'm available for 60 days support. So it could be Zoom calls or email. Like I said, I have my other business that I'm working on full time, but obviously this would be a important sale for me. So I'm willing to take the time and energy to help the buyer.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think they'll be very grateful for that. And when it comes time to negotiating with the buyer for the actual details of the sale, would you be open to something like an earn-out agreement?
I'd say I'd be open to a small earn-out agreement, something like, 85% cash up front and then maybe a short period of earn-out.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense, especially given the fact that you're working on other projects as well. Would you commit to a non-compete agreement?
Yeah, that's no problem. I don't have any plans to do anything in the language learning niche.
Fantastic. Well, Michael, you've got such a wealth of experience under your belt. You've worked on so many different sites, and I'm sure you've learned a lot of lessons along the way. Do you have any advice that you would give to our listeners that you wish you knew when you first started building websites and buying them and flipping them?
One thing that I realized maybe in the last 4 or 5 years was pick a niche that you're actually interested in. And that's why I bought these websites. When I started buying websites, I would buy anything that looked like it could make money. And that got boring pretty quickly. This project really re-energized me because I love languages. I love learning Japanese and different languages. So this was really fun to work on. And I think because of that, it did really well. But yeah, find a niche that you're excited about. And if that's language learning, then, hopefully take a look at these sites.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very valuable advice. As we've discussed, there's ups and downs with every business, and having a passion for your business will help you get through those low periods. That leads us to the final question of the interview, the one that I think everyone's going to be listening to most intently. If you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
These two sites, there's a lot left on the table. Like, I think somebody that's looking at buying sites, they want to increase the revenue, they want something that they can work on and really 2, 3, 4, 5x the profit on it. And I think that these two sites, they have like a strong foundation. So like great backlinks, great content already. And there's a really good foundation to build on, but there's still plenty of easy wins that I haven't taken advantage of. There's flip on the ads, there's creating new content around different affiliate programs that I haven't even explored. So I think a lot of opportunities, and there's some huge sites in the niche that are good examples of, probably are making a lot of money in the niche. Lots of good examples out there and lots of opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a lot of opportunity for buyers to take advantage of. So I think if there's any buyers listening in, then definitely check this business out. Michael, is there any other details about the business that you would like to share with our listeners before we wrap the interview up?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered everything.
Wonderful. Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming onto the show and giving us a bit more insight into you and your business. It's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
You too. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 67284. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.